Hello, everyone. Today, uh, welcome to EVTN News. So, I did a little bit of research, and I have some interesting additions to my news segments. But I'm going to start at the Anglican Ordinariate. It is not the Anglican Heretics. It is the part of the Novus Ordo Church um, that like former Anglican heretic communities could come in, and it was sort of like a pathway for them to, um, what would you say, like preserve their traditions, which are actually more traditional than the Novus Ordo. Um, so yeah. So anyway, the Vatican has announced a new leader of the Ordinariate in Great Britain. Father David Waller, age 62, a parish priest and vicar general of the Ordinariate of Our Lady of Walsingham, will replace Monsignor Keith Newton, age 72, who is retiring after serving over 13 years as the ordinary of the ecclesiastical structure for former Anglicans. In a statement, Newton called the Vatican's April 29th announcement momentous, given that Waller, who is a celibate, will become the first bishop of the Ordinariate. Now, because the Ordinariate is at least somewhat traditional, like it's a lot of people see it as the English version of the Latin Mass. That doesn't necessarily, that's not true, but it's close, closer than the Novus Ordo. So, a lot of people will probably be wondering why Francis is doing this, and honestly, that's my question. I don't know why he is naming another bishop for the Ordinariate. Their current bishop is, I think, I don't think he was ever a Roman Catholic, or I don't think he was ever an Anglican. I think he was a He is a Roman Catholic, and he was appointed to oversee them. So this is significant, and so they're getting another bishop, and other communities are wondering why they're not getting their own bishops, why they're not getting bishops, but the Anglicans, the Ordinariate is, which I mean, it's not like it's not, I don't know, a bad thing that they're getting their own bishop. It's just surprising given Francis's hostility towards tradition. Of course, the Catholic tradition, because of course he likes the pagan traditions, and um, his assistant has encouraged the Buddhists, to maintain their traditions, and they have great traditions, whatever. Okay. Female clown danced in front of the Eucharistic table in the Cathedral of Speyer, Germany, to celebrate or character car- caricature a day of. It's called a Day of the Deaconess. The clown show is led by six women and a female clown, and was organized by Catholic associations in Germany, several Catholic women's associations, and the Central Committee of German Catholics. Um, the powerful, it's abbreviated ZDK, a powerful lay body and leading promoter of decadence in the German Church. The focus of the show is to push for deaconesses. A Day of the Deaconess has been celebrated by German dioceses since 1998, and so this is exactly what women deaconesses are, is a parody of itself, and a clown deacon or was a clown deacon performance is a fitting way to highlight this. Okay. All right. And feel free to leave a comment if you have any thoughts. All right. Sister Janine Gramick, a LMNOP activist who belongs to the School Sisters of Notre Dame, wrote to Francis that the April 8th document Dignitas Infinita harms gender misidentified persons whom she says I love. I mean, she's an LMNOP organization, so of course. Francis replied, and Gramick published quotes from her correspondence with him on newwaysministry.org. He writes, gender ideology is something other than SSA or gender misidentified. Obviously, the quotes are a little bit, what would I call it, doctored up. Gender ideology makes everyone equal without respect for personal history. I understand the concern about this paragraph in Dignitas Infinita, but it does not refer to gender misidentified people, but to gender ideology which nullifies differences. Gender misidentified people must be accepted and integrated into society. So it seems like there's kind of an outright endorsement of LMNOPs. He's sort of making like weird distinctions and makes no sense. Of course, he answers dubia from LMNOP nuns, but when it comes to the Catholic faith, he ignores it. Kissy answers dubia, though. It's very weird. He has some very weird takes. Alright. So I'm going to check and see if I set this video to public or not. So, oh, and I can't really see it. Okay. Well, I'll just continue on, and I hope that people comment. This is a live stream, so I don't know. I get concerned whenever I don't see any viewers. Maybe I just didn't set it to public. Okay. Yep, there we go. All right. Okay, let's move on. Okay, the big news. Today's big news, everyone, is the LMNOP wedding ceremony in a Chicago Catholic church. Reverend Joseph Williams, pastor of St. Vincent de Paul in Chicago, Illinois, officiated at a pseudo-marriage for two women in his church. They posted video footage on social media on April 22nd, and Reverend Williams confirmed that the video is real. One of the women, Kelly Beard, is a United Methodist minister. She will become an associate pastor in an Arizona church starting in July. The other, Maya Knight, is a mental health therapist who runs a religious trauma support group. So what they were doing in a Catholic church is anyone's guess, probably trying to undermine the faith. Reverend Williams presided over an exchange of promises and blessed the two ladies. Addressing the women by name, he asked, "Do you freely recommit yourselves to love each other as holy spouses and to live together in peace and harmony forever?" The answer, "We do, I do." Then Reverend Williams blasphemed, "Loving God, increase and consecrate the love that Kelly and Maya have for each other." Although the video does not show a ring exchange, Pastor Williams blasphemed again. The rings they exchanged are a sign of their faithfulness and commitment. May they continue to flourish in your grace and blessing. We ask this through Christ our Lord. He concluded the blessing by making a sign of the cross over the LMNOPs and blasphemed again. May the blessing of God be with you, the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. So that's kind of pathetic. But this is Supich's diocese, so the only thing you can't do is be Catholic. He's definitely shown and demonstrated that, and as far as I know, there has been no public statement released. It's entirely possible he may force the priest to go on a sabbatical just to avoid like bad press. It's possible, and then he'll reassign him to another parish after things cool down. But I don't even really expect anything to happen to this guy. I don't know. But you remember though, the Institute of Christ the King, they're headquartered in Chicago, and the Shrine of Christ the King was shut down in August it was a few years ago, because Supich required every priest to say a Novus Ordo on the first Sunday of the month. It was a very arbitrary decision. The Institute of Christ the King did not. They can't. It's not in their constitutions to say the Novus Ordo, so they don't, and they didn't, and they held their ground and they got suspended. So if you're a traditionalist in Chicago, you're going to go to the SSPX, and that's what they're there for evil bishops like Supich. So yeah, pathetic actually. Okay. So there was a priest who wrote a letter. This priest is Father Donald Closter. I'm moving on, by the way. I'm not going to focus on the Chicago nonsense, but that was the first step. That was their first step. They're not going to stop there. And you know, if the priest does this in a diocese where the bishop actually has a shred of Catholicism, the bishop would suspend the priest, but then the priest would appeal to Rome, and who knows what would happen. Might have a different pope by the time Rome hears the case, because it takes a long time for everything. So that might be the worry of the LMNOP supporting priests. But if it's under Francis, then he'll do nothing. I will not say one word. That was one of his famous quotes when asked what he knew about McCarrick. Anyway, oh yeah, Rupnik's still running out and about, and there's a lot of Rupnik stuff in the news, and it's looking bad for the Francis supporters, you know. Father Donald Closter of the Diocese of Bridgeport wrote an article, and okay, he was critical of bishops. So he talks about the difference between the Latin Mass and the Novus Ordo. We have 1/3 of the priests that we had right after the unexpected innovation of the Novus Ordo Mass. Talks about the destruction, the plummet of priests. Okay. So I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but he says, why on earth would a Catholic prelate allow growing traditional Latin masses in his diocese to be canceled? What harm have these people done? Do they give too much to the collection? Do they get married too often? Do they come to Sunday masses too regularly? Or do they have too many Catholic children because they're not practicing contraception? The overarching contraception mentality in them sort of speaks volumes as to the atrophy it engenders. These masses seem to produce two different religions. In the 16th century England, only one bishop out of 30 resisted King Henry VIII. Our exorcists are repeatedly telling us that the demons hate and fear Latin. I would hope you all would neither be a willing nor negligent accomplice to the powers of hell. Wow. Okay. Whoa, this is actually, I didn't really read through this fully, but okay. Do you as a bishop... Oh, okay. Many faithful have run their own businesses for years. They would never deny their customers their best-selling product. That would be economic suicide. Seeing the TLMs around the country being arbitrarily shut down looks like spiritual suicide to me. Do you, as a bishop, want to spend the final years of your episcopacy presiding over the continued hemorrhaging of the faithful? Do you listen to your faithful who love the TLM and its history of fruitfulness? Do you have eyes to see and ears to hear? Are we the only segment of the church that gets no paternal affection and care? The fruitfulness of any mass should attest to its veracity and mendacity. Okay. Why does it appear that the lone, fruitful sector of the church is being ignored? I once heard a man say that he didn't care if the priest spoke Martian as long as the holy faith was bolstered. Okay. The Latin Rite is the name of our Western Church. Latin reverses the curse of the Tower of Babel. It gives us one universal language. It seems to me that we need more unity, not this squelching of the spirit of our forefathers. That's actually really based. I like that. So good for him. He'll be suspended very shortly. Maybe he can join Strickland. I'm not saying that sarcastically. Oh, but another thing, what's the USCCB trying to do? They're trying to, they're going to have a live stream on May 14th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time called Civilize It, Unifying a Divided Church. And they consequently have selected the most divisive bishops they could think of. Cardinal Robert McElroy, who's a heretic, Bishop Robert Barron, and Bishop Daniel Flores, the synodal superstar. You can join them as they dialogue with one another on the challenge of polarization in the church and the path forward. The conversation will include reflections on their roles as shepherds and leaders in their dioceses in the U.S. Church, and on important topics such as the Synod of Synodality, encounter, and where to find hope amid the polarization. Well, I'll tell you where to find hope: in the Latin Mass. And, yeah, that's where you find hope. Not with any of these guys. And Baron, why are you participating in this fruity dialogue with McElroy? I mean, that's disgusting. Of course, all these guys are in the Synod on Synodality. They're basically in the corporate synodal church, I guess is what you would call it. Why would I listen to them? They're the most divisive bishop. I mean, they're extremely divisive. At least deviant. What would you call it? Deviant? Deviating from the Catholic faith. And as a bonus, Gloria Purvis, if it's not divisive enough, Gloria Purvis, renowned activist, BLM activist, moderates the conversation. This virtual event is co-sponsored by the USCCB, Catholic Charities USA, Glen Mary Home Missioners, and the Jesuit Conference. Of course, if the Jesuits are sponsoring it, they should have just got an Anglican bishop, an Anglican woman bishop, who's married to a woman. Civil marriage, of course, and Anglican orders are obviously fake. So, yeah. And, okay, so I am looking, and it looks like there has been no one on the live stream almost the entire time I've been doing this video. So I don't know if people are losing interest or if I'm just being, I don't know what you call it. If I'm just being shadow banned. So let me know what you think. All right. It's always more fun when people are commenting and I can read the comments, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case today. So, this has been EVTN News. Until next time, we are the laity, and we will not be silent.